Mr Speaker.
I call Meka Waituri.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. O te rā, i ngā memo te whare nei, tēnā tātou katoa. Mr Speaker, Labour has serious reservations with this bill, which I will outline in my contribution this evening. But, Sir, it's important that those reservations and concerns be tested in a very public manner. So, Sir, it's for that reason, and that reason alone, Labour will support this bill to Select Committee. Our support, however, Sir, is not guaranteed beyond that point. So, Sir, tonight, when we look at the package of amendments that the Minister mentioned in my contribution, I would like to go through the 6 main amendments methodically and then raise the concerns or reservations I said in my opening statement. Sir, Amendment 1 talks about increased powers for the Local Government Commission, Local Government LGC, to unilaterally initiate an investigation into any aspect of local government reform, such as the establishment of multiply owned council-controlled organisations, or commonly known, Sir, as CCOs, joint governance arrangements, transfer of powers, boundary changes and amalgamations. Sir, the point Labour's on around the unelected Local Government Commission and the ability to unilaterally initiate investigations, Sir, that is a concern for Labour. It's also important to draw the House's attention to the government's track record when it comes to local government reform. The last time the government tried this in 2012, Sir, the reforms led to failed amalgamation proposals in Wellington, Northland and my very own Hawke's Bay. And the current situation with Auckland Council and the North Rodney and Waiheke proposals, where those 2 particular communities want to opt out of the super city. Sir, the local government minister hasn't even provided the Local Government Commission with a letter of expectation or the public with any assurances around how these increased powers will help councils or improve local democracy. A government committed to improving the performance and administration of its agency should be setting out expectations. This can include outlining broader government policy frameworks, strategic direction, managing risk and ensuring that the Commission acts in accordance with best practice. Sir, Amendment 2, the introduction of council-led reorganisations with the objective of securing the support of all affected local authorities and communities and endorsement by the Commission. No problem with council-led organisation. In fact, this bill should be all about council-led reorganisation. No problem with support of all affected local authorities and communities. The endorsement by the Commission, though, Sir, begs the question, why? Amendment 3, greater use of CCOs, particularly for water and transport services. Sir, that raises 3 issues for me. One about accountability, and I acknowledge the Minister's contribution about improving the accountabilities of the Local Government Commission, but accountability, Sir, in relation to the role and expectations of CCOs. We have had examples of what happens when CCOs go unchecked, and I've got a very local example of that, called the Hawke's Bay Regional Investment Company over the Ruataniwha Dam debacle. When you look at the case of Hawke's Bay Regional Investment Company, a CCO, which has been allowed to push back the deadline for financial close on the Ruataniwha, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 7 times, Sir, and it's operated in a secretive manner and with an air of contempt for Hawke's Bay ratepayers, the perils of vesting too much authority in a CCO are plain to see. Amendment number 3. The greater use of CCOs for Water and Transport Services, Sir, also raises the issue for me around ownership of assets. Who will own these assets? Will they stay in public ownership, Sir, or will they be privatised? And we hope the Minister, and through the Select Committee process, we can get clarity from him. The third issue I have around the CCO is the elected officials on the board. And the Minister, in his briefing to us, mentioned that no elected officials will sit on the CCO boards, and gave one of the reasons as managing conflict of interest. But, Sir, these will be major CCOs, and if I just draw the House's attention to this year's Auditor General's report on the governance and accountability of council-controlled organisations, they mentioned in this report that councils need to be clear about its purposes of CCOs. It needs to appoint the right people to govern CCOs, and they need to meet the requirements of monitoring and accountability. In this bill, Sir, there is a clause in the bill that talks around no elected bodies on the CCO board. And so, Sir, that's making a decision on behalf of elected councils. Sir, Amendments 4, 5 and 6 all refer to the removal of the ability of local ratepayers to petition their local authorities for a poll on any amalgamation or reorganisation changes. It also mentions about the removal of the poll of electors for any council-led proposals on reorganisation, and where all affected local authorities agree. And it also mentions in one of its main amendments is the restricting the mandatory holding a poll of electors to local government commission-led amalgamations, and where major transfer of water, transport and or resource management act functions from one local authority to other are proposed. Sir, it is important that the Minister assure ratepayers that this bill does not remove the requirement for a public poll on council-led amalgamations. So, Sir, we look forward to this bill coming to the Select Committee to be examined. It is important that I highlight the risk to ratepayers, that we ensure that they are not left with carrying the can for changes without them having a say. We also, Sir, want to make sure that crucial utilities remain in public ownership. The Better Local Services packages must not be used by the government to force amalgamation and privatise council assets. We have concerns about the additional powers, as I've mentioned, conferred on the Local Government Commission, an unelected body, and how this will benefit local democracy. Enhancing the powers and scope of the unelected Local Government Commission, LGC, is also risky and at odds with the stated aims of promoting council-led reorganisations. Sir, it is unclear where the justification is for the Local Government Act 2004 Amendment Bill No. 2, or how it will lead to any real community benefits. Sir, I've attempted, like I said at my introduction, to identify the reservations I have with this bill and the concerns I have. I stand by the fact that we will test those concerns and reservations through a public process. So on behalf of the Labour Party, we support its two Select Committee. We encourage people to have their say so we can help either shape this bill to what I think the Minister is trying to do and to allay any fears ratepayers may have with it. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Kia ora.